Okay, how's everybody doing? Is it good volume? Yeah, all right. So my name is Todd Blatt. I'm a 3D modeler and a maker, and I like Star Wars a lot and movie props and replicas, and I've been using 3D printing for a really long time. I started 3D modeling in 1997, and I made levels for a video game, Jedi Knight. It was a first-person shooter, and I made all these 3D models. And then in 2000, I found out about 3D printing on a high school field trip. We went to a defense contractor, and they had a printer sitting there. It was just really cool. And then in college, I got to try the printer. And then, after college, I started using it to make things. So I want to tell a story about the project that got me into making. And it was for the replica of a certain radio from a movie. But what I did, because I put together the presentation like last night at 2 a.m., so I'm not really sure how long it's going to be. So what I did was I put up 10 slides of 10 different projects I did, and I'm going to go through them really quickly right now, and then at the end of the talk about the radio, if you guys want me to talk about one of those other projects, I'll go back to that. Is that cool? Makes sense? All right. So I made all the replicas of all the totems from the movie Inception. So I have like the bishop and the top here. These are machined, they're not printed, but the first ones were printed. Colbert bought one and put it on to show. These are replicas from Spaceballs, the Schwartz ring and Lone Star's pendant. So super, super accurate. This is the Scout Trooper blaster from Return of the Jedi. Han Solo and Carbonite. And the 1/6 scale version where I 3D scanned it and 3D printed it. It's a cool story too. This is the Super 8 Cube replica, which I got in trouble for a little bit. Anybody know this one? It's from Doctor Who. It's the Vortex Manipulator. Whose watch is that? There you go. So this one's not done yet, but I'm still working on it. It's pretty exciting. So there's the models and the prints. Green Lantern and Sinestro's ring in the bottom left. The two on the right are mine. The one on the top left is the screen used one. And the bottom left mine also. How about this one? It's from Dune. It's Duke Leto's signet ring, the House of Atreides ring. All right, so on to this cool story. This is a sand trooper. It's different than a stormtrooper. He was on Tatooine, and he had the pauldron and a crazy backpack and a different weapon. And there's some other differences. So this is the 501st Legion. I'm part of it. I have a stormtrooper costume I built. I decided one day I wanted to like make tons of money, and I wanted to like get one of those awesome costumes and then go in public and take money from people for photos. And then in my research, I found out about this organization where it's a costume volunteer charity work, and we go and do like hospitals and birthday parties and weddings and corporate events and a lot of different things in return for donations to Make-A-Wish Foundation. So in 2011, the 501st and Rebel Legion raised $11.6 million for charity, and then it was $14.2 million last year. So it was like way more than being selfish and trying to take money for photographs, was to be able to like be part of this. And the payback has been great. I've met so many cool people and so much cool projects, and I got to like dance on stage with Weird Al Yankovic and just like go to crazy events. There was a party, Obama's Halloween party. They invited some stormtroopers there, and so some of my friends got to go to that. Just like the opportunities that being part of this organization far outweighs like the cost to build it and not taking money back for that. So in the 501st, it says here all the different, as of last night, all the active people in the community. So there's like 2,625 stormtroopers and 1,000 Imperial officers, and but all the way down here near does the cursor? Oh, you can't see anything? Oh, you guys have it. All right. Does the cursor show up? Yeah. Okay. So I'm down here, Sand Trooper. There's 619 of those Sand Troopers. So what happened was I went to an armor party. You guys go to armor parties? No, it's like if you're building your armor for the stormtrooper for the 501st, you go to somebody's house and they have like a cookout, and a whole bunch of people show off the props they have or the different things they made, and they bring their armor and show how they made something. So I just bought this kit off the internet, and it was vacuum formed sand trooper parts or stormtrooper parts. I made a stormtrooper, so it was all these vacuum formed parts, and I just showed up and I didn't really know how to put them together, and I was like, you had to trim out different things and putting the helmet back together. You had to like pierce these rivets, and I was like kind of scared because you only get one shot at it. So I got to hook up with some other guys that they had done it before, and they helped me build it. And while I was there, I saw that this guy Charlie, whose house it was flipping through pictures on his laptop like this, and he showed this one picture of a 3D rendering of this knob here. And I didn't really know what it was, but I was like, oh, I could make that, because it turned out he was like working on a project for making a knob, and I just looked at it, and it turns out it's part of this backpack. And we're looking at the Sand Trooper, so on his back these are screenshots from the film. The Sand Trooper, the main difference is this backpack. And there's like a Boy Scout frame. Here's like all the parts list of what goes into it, and they're all laid out. So there's like vacuum formed seed trays and the exhaust port, and like part from the Stormtrooper's back. The thermal detonator was attached over on the side there, and different parts from a toilet, and like just crazy things that people have gone through, and screen by screen looking at pictures like this, and then going to Home Depot and looking at their catalogs from what was available back in the 70s to try and figure out what part was what. So they've gone through and painstakingly figured out which thing is what, and like some are like the seed tray was it's this piece up here. It was part of like growing seeds from Home Depot, those kinds of things. This part here is like the lid for a hamburger maker. It's like a little Tupperware thing. This is a Tupperware thing. These are like stacked hamburger makers. There's part from I don't know, just crazy. Like this part's like part of a toilet, and then this part here is part of a toilet. But this part here they knew was some sort of radio, but this is the best quality shot that we had. So just it's crazy parts. So we didn't know what the thing was. But people still would sculpt from these shots and just what we see there and resculpt it and make it look like that. But nobody knew what this radio was. So this is like the best you can get, screen accurate Stormtrooper armor, Sand Trooper armor. And that's my friend Mike Harrison. He is awesome, as it says. He's so awesome. His armor is so accurate that picture I showed you before of him is the picture that Hasbro used when they make the Sand Trooper, the 30th anniversary. When they like found it on the internet, took that, put it there, and then like this was really cool. And this is the close-up of his backpack. So what it is here is a vacuum formed backpack, and people found these stickers and kind of guessed what it was. And but until one day, somebody was putting together the backpack, and he happened to be watching the Avengers TV show. And at this point, there was a bounty out, a $1,500 bounty, to figure out if anybody could figure out what the radio was. Then this one guy was paying $1,500 just for the name, proof of what it was. So he happened to be putting together, and this is the Avengers TV show from the 70s, and he's putting it together, and the bad guy just trots out carrying this radio. So then we finally had this really nice up close shot of what it was, and with this sticker down here, somebody was able to compare it to the Radio Museum Archives. It's a site online, and there's all the different radios, and there was enough information then to more details to figure out what it was. So this is a photo from the Radio Museum Archives that was just sitting there, and it was the highest quality to date photo that anybody knew what it was. And now that we have this is good enough for me to start 3D modeling from, because before, if all you have are these, then all you get is, this is as good as I could get, But once we had this shot, sure, it's kind of skewed still, so my friend pulled it in Illustrator and stretched it out so it was straight. So I went and modeled all these little details, the little holes there, and it's like an oval, like an ellipse, because it's not straight on. So you try to figure out the size of the circles and everything. And I went in here and 3D modeled all these little things. So this is the model I came up with. It's like the best I could get from that. I literally went and counted these ridges around here. So it's the same number of those, the notches, everything. There's a little lip around the edge, all those little things. And then I took it to one of my old professors, and he was able to help me print it out on one of the Z-Corp machines. And this is still is 2009. So 3D printing is not really popular yet. It's getting there. I knew about it because I was able to do it, and so I had this model ready to go. He printed it out for me, and I took it back to my friend Charlie, and he was like super excited. And I gave him this. Has anybody seen like the Z-Corp prints? It's like a powder. So I took it to him and I was like, all right, let's go. And he said, no, we can't use that. You can't make a mold of that. It falls apart and the silicone gets all sucked up in there and it just doesn't work. So I looked, well, what other solutions are there for printing? And this is like Shapeways, Shapeways. It was just getting started. It was still like, a small operation over in Eindhoven. So I sent the files to them, and the price was really high, and I sent the files to Quick Parts, and I was able to get a good enough price. And I got back these the knobs first, and it was great, and we did the radio, and so I got these parts back and brought it over to Charlie's house, and that's this one here. So what we did was we made a mold. So you took this and you folded up the sides, you made it the right size, and then you mix silicone. So it's like a really high, this is old. I think it's from I think it's 2009 still. Yep. So this is the end, like November, December 2009, we got this back and made the mold, and it was all the way up until March or February or March. We were working on it, getting the knobs right and different things right. And he's like, oh, could you change this or different materials were, I don't know. So here's the first mold we made. That's the same box. It just got discolored, I guess, from the sunlight or UV or something. So a silicone mold is this stuff. It's like 2 parts of rubber, silicone, and an activation agent, and you mix it together, and you take all the gas out of it, you put it in a vacuum chamber, and all the gas like bubbles up, and then the whole thing collapses, and then you have silicone that has no bubbles in it. So when you pour the resin, you get here's the mold to the knob. It's the same one. And then you pour resin in the mold. So a lot of 3D printers now, they're starting to print with resin, but if you have a mold of something, you can just pour in the resin and you get back the part. So me and Charlie did this in his garage, and we poured this resin, and usually it takes like 15 minutes or 10 minutes, it depends, sometimes like 2.5 minute resin. We poured it, and we chose the 30-minute resin because that way it's the most viscous and it'll flow in all the cracks, and we had enough time to work with it. And usually resin will bloom, they call it. So the back of it starts to turn white in one spot and then spreads across. And we were just sitting there waiting for like a long time, like more than an hour and a half, and it just wouldn't cure. And then finally he checked it and he realized that he used the clear curing resin and not the white curing resin. So it was already solid. So I think that part, oh, I left it over. Oh no, here it is. So this was that original one. This was the first part out of the pink mold. So finally cured. And this is the same part, and we had the knobs and everything. We were ready to go, and there's the Mos Eisley Police Department is the website where all the sand troopers go and communicate and share all their prop knowledge and what they've got where. And so we have this huge following because nobody's made this radio before. And so this first casting, the knobs, they can you see pink here? There's these in the little holes there, the mold got pulled out. When you cast silicone, you should spray like a mold release, but just these little nubs got like pulled out, so the mold broke. So we ended up making another mold after that, and then finally got this cast back. But so this is this one. This is what it looks like, and we were all ready to go until March, when some guy on the Fiverr First forums posted this photo, and he's like, hey guys, look what I got. I found it at an antique shop. And we're like, oh no, because now this is slightly more accurate. You can see there's a little ridge here that we didn't pick up in the photo before, and then back here this knob is actually recessed. So on this one we didn't pick up that detail because you can't see it in this one. I wasn't able to catch that there's a lip there. And there's just a few other teeny tweaks, but you know, I'm not the kind of guy. Me and Charlie decided I don't want to start selling this, even though we worked for like 5 months on the first mold and getting it all right and remaking it because the nubs pulled out. We didn't want to like sell a product and then be able to release another one better in another 5 months and make the same people buy it again. So we decided, you know, let's take this photo and start again. So this is more straight on, and I was able to see like around this ridge here there's more details, and these were bumps that stuck out instead of went in, and I don't know, all these little details. And there was another rim on the edge of this thing that we didn't have in the original knob mold. So just tons of details. So we went and redid it, and this is the new one. We had adjusted height, and this part was in there. So he's ready to go, ready to cast it, and then the silicone problem, because we printed in a different resin. The print was a different material, and the silicone we used, this green stuff, is not good enough to capture the mold. So we had to like clean it up again, and we finally dug it all out. We reprinted some of the knobs and finally got it ready to go. This is like the Somos 11122 material and the high-end like an object printer from Quick Parts, and so finally dug out all this stuff, made the new mold again, and this is the final one. So this is one that I still have here, and it's all dried out now because it's still like 3 years old now, so it won't cast as well. So I felt okay to bring it out here. But so you got this, and then we were able to get this beautiful casting. We have all these details here that we missed, and the lip there, and it was ready to go, and we got it all out, and we started selling these kits. And then this is like the final put together replica that, you know, one of the users on the Mos Eisley Police Department was able to put together. So it was just like such a great project. Yeah, so that was that. So that was 15 minutes. So I have 15 more minutes. So we can do more talking about this if you have questions about this, or there's 10 project in the beginning if you want to go back on that. So you got, yeah. The scale rate. Because we knew what the other parts were. Because we know like there's like, you know, this vacuum tube thing, and so you knew other parts were found. So we were able to say, oh, that's 6.5 inches across there. So this is that. So yeah. What's up? Yeah, so let's go back to that one. The Super 8 Cube. Who saw Super 8? Nobody. No, it's a couple people. All right. So it's a J.J. Abrams film. I liked the first 2/3 of it. I thought the last was kind of weird. It was like, what happened? It was cool. In the movie, this guy has a little thing. Spoilers. It's like a little alien cube. Whatever. It's from the spaceship. No big deal. It was strange, but it vibrated in the movie. So the one I made, I 3D printed it, and this lid here comes off, and so it opens up, and the whole inside's hollow. And I put a little vibrator in there and closed it back up, and it would shake just like it did in the film, and it was so cool. And I was able to it cost me like $30 to make it, to print them from Shapeways, and the vibrator thing was $1, so it was like ready to go, and I was going to sell it for $55. And then I had it listed on the Replica prop forum, and I posted it, and I was like, all right guys, ready to go, let's you know, who wants one? And the next day I got an email from Paramount, from the lawyers, and they said, hey, you can't sell that. So what happened was, one of the other members on the Replica prop forum, the QMX, it's a Replica company, had the license to produce these and didn't tell anybody, because I mean, a couple days after the movie came out, I had this product ready to go. And that's something that you can do with 3D printing you can't do with traditional manufacturing, which is the way they produce their parts. You know, they make molds and go back and forth, and this is a really complex part because there's so many overhangs here. See, like the knobs stick out, and it's difficult to make a mold of that. These are really simple molds. It's just, you know, pour it in, pull it out. Like the knob just kind of fits straight in, and it's flat. So it's really easy. But this is, you know, it's a crazy mold. So I was ready to go on this, and then they were like, they literally didn't release theirs for over a year after mine. And when it came out, there was built, I think they used like one of the MakerBots or whatever, the Tinkercad one. They had like all these different printers because the lines were big on it. So I guess they printed the master for taking in, I don't know. It was not a good replica, and they were selling it for 15 instead of 55. So fine, but like, it didn't vibrate and was solid, and it was, I don't know. So that was that story. I mean, if they would have told me, hey Todd, we've got the license for this, could you give us your model and we'll use that, or could you not, because we are doing this, you know, it would have been an easier story. Instead of fighting, people could work together, I think. Yeah. What else? Pardon? Yeah. Inception Top, Colbert, Schwartz, Biker Scout, Han Solo with the miniature Han Solo, the Super 8, Vortex Manipulator, Dick Tracy, Green Lantern Ring, Sinestro Ring, Duke Leto Ring, and this is the Sonic's Victory 75 radio. I could tell you all about it. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
How'd you get the Han Solo right? That's hard.
So the Han, where did it go? No, it's back this way. Han Solo is, I have a better talk. Let me pull up these slides because I have those slides. I gave an Ignite talk. If you Google how to use a shrink ray for real, it will, there's a 5-minute talk. Here are the slides. Elusive Concepts produced them in 96. They produced 1,596 replicas cast from the original, and they made fiberglass copies. And then other people made rubber and resin and fiberglass copies off the original. So I scanned it. So I for my full-size one, I bought a rubber cast from a copy of an Elusive Concepts one. This is a couple years ago. This is like 2010. I did the Ignite talk. I was explaining 3D printing. Colbert and Bree was just on Colbert Report. Printed it. I'm talking a lot about because people didn't know what 3D printing was when I gave this talk. And then I modeled the side panel story is crazy. Ask me about that. That's crazy. Yeah, I put these on Thingiverse. These are on the Tickle Me Elmo and Carbonite replica that I have over there. It's pretty funny. But all these models, they're Volvo dashboard panels, the instrumentation panels, flipped upside down, mounted upside down, and then details added. And people only like 3 years ago figured out what they were. Yeah, the replica prop people are pretty crazy. Here's some other projects I did. Yeah, so that's the Han Solo talk. And then the joke was, if if none of what I just said made any sense, then use this as a takeaway. It's Han Solo, not Hans Solo. Yeah. That was that talk. Yeah. There was one over here. What's up? Shapeways got some DMCA takedown notices for so a lot of their procs. There's like I don't know. There's a lot of things that were on the site. Marvel came through and took down a lot. The deal with the Replica Prop forum is that it's mostly like a build site and documentation showing how you made stuff. There are product runs like in there. The scale is really small, and I think that it's usually not worth companies going after like somebody making a run of 20 of something when Hasbro's making 40,000 at least of those things. Plus like the market they're catering like the replica Inception tops that came out are aluminum. They say Inception on them. They're the wrong shape and the wrong size. So the ones I make, they're dark, they're patinaed steel, and so they're heavier weight, the right shape, and like the right size. It's like people who are collecting it want the right one. So if the studios would and the replica companies would put out really nice ones, then the people would buy it from them. So it's more incentive for them. It's just not a competing market. So yeah. Huh? We've got 9 more minutes. I need to finish the Dick Tracy watch. There were 10 made for the original film. And then GTI got commissioned by Disney to make them back in the 90s. And I wish I had a photo of that, but it looks nothing like this. Like the overall shape is the same, but like sharp corners and like these cutouts are different shapes, and like it's a watch in the style of. But when they go on eBay every couple of years, they go for like $1,000, $900 for that. So I'd like to finish this, but watchmaking is really hard. Yeah, I mean I got the case and I got the back, but holding the movement in place and putting the hands on, and I got the crystal milled, like custom milled, so that was pretty neat. I don't know. I've been doing a lot of different things, but yeah. This is Google Glass. It's the thing. Yeah, it's a wearable computer on your face. Oh, I did a Kickstarter campaign this summer for accessories for Google Glass, and this is one of those. It was Glass Cap, it was called. This is Manny Calavera from Grim Fandango. That was a cool one. The drive shaft ring from Lost. Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty fun. No, it takes tons of battery to do that. It's kind of just like your cell phone. So, yeah, it would take a lot. They're filming here somewhere. This guy's filming. So this was a fun project. People keep asking me about 3D printed guns, so I made a whole bunch of these and space blasters, and so I have some space blasters. They're like alien. I'm like set up in this tent here. There's some stuff. So this was a project I wanted to make this replica to be approved for the 501st, to be able to ship to people who are in Australia, because you can't send them even replica weapons. So the garrison there has a problem of getting enough blasters because they have to make them there. And then it all comes apart into pieces and it snaps together. It's fully assembled, no support material and no glue, and it's all 3D modeled. So it's pretty neat. So this is up on Thingiverse. These are up on Thingiverse. So this project also isn't 100% complete because I've been doing the metal prints, and they figured out that this button here is on like a Samsung A585 cell phone. So what happens with the replica prop community is when there's a found part, when people know like the lightsaber from Star Wars is made from a Greyflex flash tube. So that's from, you know, the camera collecting, you know, and antique cameras. So people, when they come up on eBay, all the Star Wars people start bidding them up, and the people who want the replicas for their cameras, they can't get them because it costs too much. So these things happen when the part gets found. They're able to, people go and find which pieces they are. So that's like from a phone. Yeah. You can print molds, but I think it's better to like print what you want, model what you want, instead of like thinking backwards and printing the mold in the solid, because you kind of have to flex the mold to get it out. So like, unless there's absolutely no overhangs, but still you want it to be flexible. I print the master. Right. So for this ring, it was, you print the metal. I put in the varnish that's in here. It's like from it's like a furniture polish varnish I'm using. So you can wipe it in there and wash it off, and so it stays in the cracks. And then the stones I'm gluing in after. So 3D printing is like a tool to get you part of the way to somewhere. So I hope that's like what you can take away from this, because people think like, oh, 3D printing is cool, but you can only make little plastic things. Well, first of all, no, there's plenty of metal prints and there's plenty of other materials, but don't think that the end part of a print has to be the final product. Like, you know, one of the projects I made one time was all these robots, 3D printed robots, but you know, I used an Arduino also, and a bubble gun from the toy store, and like string and servos, and you know, use it as a part of what you're making. It doesn't have to be the be all and end all. So we got like 5 minutes left. Vortex manipulator for Doctor Who. So I did the metal part and I did the buttons, but the leather part, I'm not like a leather worker, and I just contacted someone recently someone contacted me on Shapeways recently, and they said, hey, I've been making the leather parts, but I haven't found anybody who can produce these. So I've been direct printing these in metal, and you get these little bumps on there, but it's cheaper if you cast them. So if I finally find this guy and it actually works out, that I'll be able to just print one in resin and make a cast, and then make metal copies. Because that's what I do for the Spaceballs, the Lone Stars necklace pendant. And it's a cast. So I have a mold. And you can just go and, you know, pour wax cast, and then lost wax cast the metal to get it, the wax to get the metal. So I'll make that investment to do the mold and everything if this guy comes through to make the leather. But you got to get it right. You got to get the snaps right and the right number of stitches, and you know, which kind of leather are they using for the inside there, and getting it molded right. But yeah, it's just a fascinating hobby, and it's really fun, and I hope that I've encouraged you to join up in that. Yeah.
What printer are you putting your best masters off of, as far as like the details finding up and like all that?
I mean, the most accurate prints are from that wax printer, but usually you don't do that. Like for high-end jewelry, that's what they're doing. They print it in wax and then cast that. Good enough are like the resin prints, but I've had to go through lots of different kinds of resin to figure out which one's gonna mold okay and which silicone is the right kind to use for that. But yeah, if you find the right kind of resin, I mean, if you have the resin part, and you can get like CAD silicone, some people sell it as that. But Smooth-On sells good enough silicone. I can't remember off the top of my head which one to use, but I mean, I use the high-end resin printers. They're just, I'll send it to Shapeways or to Sculpt.AI or Quick Parts, or there's lots of those online service bureaus to get like the high-end. But now they have the low-cost ones like the B9 Creator and the Form 1, and so those are getting high because it's resin, so it's like your layers are so thin, so it's much higher resolution than the FFF style printers. Yeah, Mike Harrison, just a cool guy. So I encourage you to go to 501st if you have some sort of birthday party or engagement or something like that, and they'll come out and you donate to the charity of your choosing in the 501st name, and you can get like Boba Fett and Stormtroopers and Vader and everybody to come out. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
If people have continued questions, we're going to get the next person on stage. You can just like pull up.
Cool. I'm going to go over to my booth over there. It says Custom 3D Stuff. So if you want to contact me at custom3dstuff.com or go after, and I'll be over there for more questions. So thanks, everyone.